Chapter number 9 or module number 9, data processing, organization, data processing, data organization, data cleaning, and data validation. Just include data in front of all the terms. So, data processing, data organization, you have to clean the data and you have to validate the data, because if the data is processed, organized, cleaned, and validated properly, then only we can process in such a way so that we get relevant information. You remember, we are not just going to convert the data into information. That's the basic definition. Data, if processed, becomes information is right, okay? But when we say data, it's not just raw data, it's a data which is properly processed, it's a data which is properly organized, it's a data which is cleaned, okay. Unnecessary, we should not have duplications and errors and all, right? And the data which is validated, okay. So if all these are done, then it will be helpful that the information we gather or we extract from this or we try from this will be a useful one. Okay, so we'll go for relevant information then. So under this chapter number 9, we have only 4 headings, subheadings. 9.1, we have to go somewhat in detail. So it's development of data processing. 9.2, functions of data processing. So data processing is an important heading over here. So development and functions is carried over for data processing is carried over in 9.1 and 9.2. 9.3, data organization and distribution. 9.4, data cleaning and validation. Okay. So let us go in detail. 9.1, development of data processing. Please try to highlight or underline the definition. What do you mean by data processing? It includes everything. So when we define, we say it's a process, we organize it, we categorize it, and also we manipulate the data. Why? We are going to extract the information. So when we say information, actually we are trying to see the same data. If I properly use it, I'm going to call this as information, right? So in this sense, if the information is having some nexus, which means like valuable connection and trends, then that will be helpful for my business decision making. So I'll make it in such a way that the data is processed and organized accordingly. So that's what is defined and dealt in data processing. So capacity and effectiveness of data processing. So in short, we are going to call DP, have increased manifold the development of technology. Yes, we are not going to do it manually. We are going to take the help of technology and we are going to process it. So earlier and all, it was like a lot of human labor was there. Then we just transform using the computers or modern tools and technology. So, for example, if we talk about e-governance and maintaining Aadhaar cards for all citizens of India, so being the largest in population all over the world, so how India is managing this Aadhaar card processing. Okay, that's a very good example. I'm not saying this is a good example. All over the world, many top leaders say that India is doing e-governance in such a way that it is completely utilizing its data science. So Aadhaar card they have taken in one forum, in global meeting. In one forum, they have discussed that we have to follow like India to give a unique number to each and every citizen. And the techniques and procedures what we follow here is actually we are extracting the information. So we call this as extraction algorithms. And probably we are going to face some data classification and also we are going to recognize it and we are going to take the help of time series analysis. So, time series analysis, right? For stock market data and all. So the data extracted in the process of DP will be highly reliant. Please highlight because the data which you process should give quality. So when we talk about quality of data, the relevant information will be obtained. When we talk about data quality, the major issues like sometimes the data will not be complete. Okay, so that's one of the major feature of data. Sometimes we may not be obtaining all the data, so sometimes the data will be missing, and sometimes it will be having duplications. Like probably if I write my name, I write Yamuna VG. Okay, in some form it is right VG Yamuna. Okay, it's both the same, but it will not consider the other way. Okay, so if we put an alphabetical order, my name will be in the second alphabetical order, starts with B, but B is not my name. Okay, so my name starts with Y, it should be second in the order from the last. Okay, so to avoid the duplications and all, we need this. And probably sometimes we may not be using proper designing, so there may be some fundamentals problems arising. Some data which is collected will not be unbiased. It will be a biased one. Bias is what you call as a error. Okay, so it will not be easy to address the problem in that case. Usually, when we go for data processing, how we do it is in three phases. One is manual, mechanical, and electronic. So you know that what do you mean by manual, what do you mean by mechanical, and all. Just we'll go for a highlight and a short recall, and we'll go in detail with respect to electronic DP. When we say manual data processing, will not take without much assistance, probably will take a very short assistance, we could say, will not take much assistance from the machines. Probably you go to a hospital, you go to a clinic, you check your height and weight. Okay, you check your height and weight. Okay, so how they are going to measure the height and weight? They are just going to measure the height and weight just the way, or they are going to use the there'll be a measuring scale, right? Sometimes they'll press that measuring scale, all the details will be feeded in the system, in the patient's data. Okay, so that's sense. So you will not have much interaction of the machines. You will have only the manuals working with small interaction of the machines, possibly completely with manual efforts. We'll call this as manual data. Okay. See, this goes in order. We take the help of manual, then mechanical, then electronic. Okay. So when we say manual, it's not much of machines, or you can say it's not involving machines at all. If it is involving machines, then it's mechanical. So this is one step ahead of manual. So generation, we are changing here. And this one step ahead is electronic. Okay. Probably we are taking the help of AI, big data analytics, and so on. Okay. Internet of things, etc. Okay. So probably when we talk about manual DP, it's still in use. That's a big highlight. It's still in use. Okay. Why we say it's still in use means, see, as we were telling, even when you go to a clinic, they are manually entering all the data, right? So even though the machine is going to process the next level, we have to manually enter a few data. You are going to manually write the exam. So still we have this data processing. Probably sometimes we have to go for retrieving the outdated text and documents. It's beautiful, right? இந்த கல்லுல செதுக்கி வச்சிருப்பாங்க, இல்லைன்னா வந்து ஓலைச்சுவடியில எழுதி வச்சிருப்பாங்க. இதெல்லாம் எங்க நீங்க சிஸ்டம்ல வந்து ஏற்கனவே ஃபீட் பண்ண டேட்டா தான் நம்ம ப்ராசஸ் பண்ணோம். இல்லாத ஒரு விஷயத்த, so outdated text and documents can be easily retrieved. So beautiful, right? Okay, so beautiful, right? Then we'll go for mechanical DP. So we are taking mechanical tools, not machines, not computers we are talking about. We are talking about mechanical tools. Okay. So probably like punching cards that's been installed by US Bureau. Okay. And this will help us to make it quicker and easier to search and compute the data. Now we'll go for electronic DP. Yes, when we came across that we are arise with so many mistakes and etc. etc. See, probably if you talk about Aadhaar card, how many Aadhaar card you can have? One person, one Aadhaar card, right? One person, one Aadhaar unique number. If it happens that I'm not going to process this logically and strategically, then many persons will be having many Aadhaar cards, many persons will be having many passports. Yes, கூட இப்போ வந்திருக்கு தான் duplications, smuggling இதெல்லாம் வருது தான். But still, that can be easily scrutinized and you can say this is valid one and this is not a valid one. Okay. So when we say electronic data, we are taking the help of computers and other cutting edge technologies, which is what you call as the AI and other things and all. Okay. So here we'll come across how the data is processed and how the data science is relevant for our business finance. Okay. Actually, when you talk about this content, this is a major content of this topic. Module 9, the major content இதுதான். அதனால இது மட்டும் கொஞ்சம் நம்ம slow போனோம். It's not a tough content or it's easy content. So I'll go for the heading here in the start. We'll go for risk analytics. Okay, the biggest risk is not taking any risk. It's beautiful, right? If you're not taking any risk, you're just going to stay silent, then your business will never go. Probably it has to grow along with this. Like you're not taking any efforts, then your business may not be growing. You may not be expecting a new things happening. So the biggest risk is not taking any risk. Then how are you going to fix it with the real-time analytics? Real-time analytics is what you have now. You have to get it immediately. Probably we have the cyclone alerts now. If you're not updated with the real-time cyclone effects, then how are you going to manage the situation? Then we might be loser of many things. You cannot saying that it's all nature of God. We cannot escape from that. No, it's not that way. You can still have a escape from that. Okay. So that's first one. Second one. Okay. Now probably third one, consumer, to analyze about the consumer's taste, etc. and all. and how you're going to manage their data. So that's the fourth one. And how the customers could be segmented, probably age wise, or men and women gender wise, or in which way you can segment the that is segmentation is segregating, making a group. Okay, and some personalized services how you can provide, and how you can predict it. So ultimately, when we say business, we have to predict something, what will happen in the future. And fraud detection. Yes, if there is anything not good, not in the right way going on, then you have to detect it in advance. So everything happens and you say it's a fraud, then definitely you're going to be a loser. So fraud detection, then advanced customer service has to be provided. Anomaly detection is sometimes we go for finding some abnormalities. Abnormalities is not always happening. So it's the name itself is abnormal. Okay, that abnormal can be detected. That's what we call as anomaly detection. And we do this everything, especially when we talk about stock markets. Okay, we do this everything in terms of giving instructions and rules. So we call this as algorithmic trading. So 11 headings we have got. Okay, can you just go through a glance till here, please? So the heading here is, let me reload the page. So the heading here is how data processing and data science is relevant for finance. Our area is finance side. So we are going to discuss in this angle itself. So we're going to discuss how it plays important role in 11 significant areas. So that's what we discussed just now. First one goes with risk analytics. So they're completely discussing what you mean by risk and how you're going to deal with that. Okay. So when we say business, definitely see, already we have discussed the risk is not taking any risk. So when we say this business is inevitable that you cannot avoid the risk, right? Particularly in financial industry. So definitely, when you talk about risk analytics, you need to determine what are the risk factors. Because I'm going to make some decision making, you need to analyze what are the risk factors, which one has to be given priority, which one not. So probably if you're talking about relating to, it's just an example only, okay. So probably if you're talking about cyber security risk, then that's also I'm dealing with risk analytics. So I have to analyze how far that's going to affect my business, okay. So when a large portion of a company's risk related data is given and it is unstructured, then definitely you may be losing something, okay. So some mistakes may happen. So when you lose, so the regularity is not recurring, then definitely you have to highlight which one is the threat, which one is possessing maximum threat and allowing for the future avoidance in circumstances. Once the danger is recognized, obviously you have to prioritize and you have to closely watch it. So for this point alone, we have to go for risk analytics. Okay, right? All over the 11 headings, what we're going to do here is when we talk about 11 headings, we are going to take the help of data processing and data science. So we'll be coming across sometimes mission algorithms, sometimes AL. Okay. So we'll be taking up on mission algorithms. Okay. I want to highlight this because all the 11 headings will have different namings. So we'll talk about mission algorithms, mission learning algorithms. They will check on the historical transaction and they will generate the information so that will be helpful for analyze how far the customers are reliable. So this they are taking the help of banks and they are discussing okay how the customers are reliable, how their trustworthiness is. ஒழுங்கா வந்து loan வாங்க repay பண்ணுவாங்களா and they accordingly what they will do is they'll go for determining the relative risk whether they can go for accepting or lending them. Okay. Similar to this, we can also go for creating dynamic and real-time risk assessment model. Also, for that, we'll go for taking the help of real-time analytics. Okay. So prior to advancement in data engineering, okay, this will follow in two angles. One is pre-era and post-era. So pre-era is we did not have something called as cloud solutions. We did not have something called as data science and everything is something historical in nature. So in that case, data engineers what they do is they'll go for finding the numbers probably in days and weeks and all. They'll go in batches, they'll find it in batches, and they'll check what type of analysis can be performed and what that performance is giving the output. Okay, so they'll go for within a predetermined scale, like 1 week, 1 month process pandrathu, and they'll go for drawing any conclusions what they achieve from that. So with technological advancement and improved hardware, real-time analytics are now available. So till here it is pre-era. Okay, that is we are taking the help of electronic DP, and after this is post-era. Okay, post-era is now we are using real-time analytics. Okay, real-time analytics like we are using data engineering, we are using data science, we are using machine learning, we are using business intelligence work. so that everything can be provided in a better way. Okay, so dynamic pipelines, data pipelines. What do you mean by data pipeline is water pipe every water flow ஆகுது அந்த மாதிரி data pipelines will be there where the data will be flowing from one level of processing to another level. Okay, so like step by step processing. Data streams is also what you call as data pipelines, somewhat like that. And superior data transmission, it has to happen in a very quick manner. That's why we say it's real time analytics between the source and the analyzer, and business has to quickly respond to customer interactions. So with real time analytics, definitely you cannot make any delay, and you can establish how far your customer is uh, uh, evaluating your organization, how far they are rating your organization. So that's about the second heading. Let me go for the third heading, then I'll give you some time gap. Let me go for the third heading. Customer data management. So we are going to manage the data. So it's directly dealing with data sets, right? So when we talk about financial institutions, we have so much of data. So probably when you talk about India, we have so much of data about some persons. So how are you going to manage this through machine learning capabilities? So probably you're taking the use of business intelligence. So artificial intelligence, business intelligence, okay. How are you going to proliferate the data? And the data is how it has been natured. Big data, unstructured data, you cannot always structure the data. உங்களுக்கு இந்த டேட்டா வந்து ஃபியூச்சர்ல யூஸ் ஆகும் தெரிஞ்சா நீங்க ஸ்ட்ரக்சரைஸ் பண்ணிடலாம். But we don't know how far this data will be useful or not. So what we do is we take everything, put it in a basket, and we'll keep it. Whenever it is being needed, then we'll go for searching. Okay. So less effectively for predicting risk and future trends. So there are currently more transactions like every minute than ever before. How it's been better analysis and how it has been arrival. Probably if you take about social media, new internet of things, and also that's all clearly giving about the data, right? About the customer, and how you are going to keep it as an organized way. So what method we use here is probably methods we use here is probably we go for text analytics, we go for data mining. What do you mean by data mining is அது டிஃப்ரெண்ட் டிஃப்ரெண்டா நீங்க வந்து அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்ட் பண்ணிக்கலாம். ஸோ ஐ எம் கிவிங் மை ப்ரொஃபைல் மை செல்ஃப். Okay, probably from my profile, they may take data relating to my profession. They may take the data relating to my age and other habits. They may take the rate related to my height and weight, whatever it is. Okay, ஒரு டேட்டா வச்சு என்ன நீங்க அதுல இருந்து எடுக்கணும்னு நினைக்கிறீங்களோ எக்கச்சக்கமா எடுக்கலாம். ஸோ யூ கேன் மைன் இட். தட்ஸ் வை வி சே டேட்டா மைனிங். And we take the help of natural processing languages. So natural language processing, because if we want to communicate, we need to understand. Okay. And data science is definitely well equipped with massive volumes of unstructured data. See, structured data we need not worry at all. Already structure பண்ணி வச்சிட்டோம். நம்ம unstructured data பத்தி தான் worry பண்ணணும். Okay. So how the data has been enhanced so that it's made available, and what are the company's analytic capabilities may make it upgraded and go for greater understanding for market patterns and client behavior. So this is related to customer data management. So the third level is done. Fourth area, consumer analytics. The difference between third and fourth heading may be looking similar. Okay, let me reload the page for convenience sake. May be looking similar, but what happens here is third, third content we were discussing with respect to customer. Okay, but fourth content we are discussing with respect to consumer. Okay, I may be buying something for my family, not for me personally. Okay. So I may be buying something for my organization, not for me personally. So when I buy for myself personally, then I become a consumer. So obviously, consumer and buyer. Okay. When we say customer, I may not be purchasing that for my personal use. Okay. So in that case, I may be called as a consumer. So we are going to discuss here in the fourth area with respect to consumer analytics, where choice has never been more crucial. It becomes evident each customer is unique. Please highlight. Yes, when it becomes what, see, customer to customer, you have to treat them in a different way. So you cannot say that everybody are same, so just do it. Okay, you cannot do that. Okay, and you have to see that whether that person, that customer is receiving a customized service, how you are going to process the data swiftly and efficiently without time into intensive individualized analysis. See, you cannot see. So there are so many customers, and we say that each and every, sorry, consumers. Okay, there are so many consumers, and each and every consumers are unique. So ultimately, it looks like you have to pay individual attention. At the same time, you cannot take a lot of time to go for individualized analysis. So within that time-intensive individualized analysis, we have to process in a better way. For example, this is a very beautiful example related to insurance forms. Yes. When we go for insurance forms, what we have to do, that we have to check all the health history. Then we have to check the premium amount and accordingly. Probably nowadays, when you talk about the generation gap here, when any persons cross currently, okay, I'm talking about currently. When any persons cross 80 or 85, still they're very healthy. Okay, no health issues, nothing. But when anybody crosses 40 or 50, they are facing so many health issues. Okay, when they are facing so many health issues, see, for a person who's just 80 or 85, you cannot have an insurance, okay, because they have no earning capacity. Their life is very small, okay, the lifespan is very small. But when they go for 40 or 50, it's not very closer to the retirement age. So, depending on the retirement age, depending on the health issues, you have to go for person to person. But what happens is you cannot go for sub-consumer pattern. So, this is what you call a sub-zero consumer pattern. So, what do you do? When you go for taking a taking an insurance, life insurance, like they will have a chat. எவ்வளோ மேம் இன்சூரன்ஸ் போடுறீங்க ஓகே 1 crore போடுறேன் 1 crore எவ்வளோ ப்ரீமியம் தேல் ஹேவ் அ சாட் வாட் இஸ் ஏஜ் எக்ஸெட்ரா தேல் ஹேவ் அ சாட் அந்த சாட் வந்து லொக்கேட் பண்ணி சொல்லிடுவாங்க சி ஆக்சுவலா இண்டிவிஜுவலைஸா பண்ணணும் பட் இண்டிவிஜுவலைஸா பண்ண முடியல வி ஆர் ட்ரைங் டு டூ தட் ஸோ வி ஆர் ஜஸ்ட் ட்ரைங் டு எக்ஸிக்யூட் பட் வாட் ஹேப்பன்ஸ் இன் கேஸ் ஆஃப் லோன் யூ கோட் டு பாரோ எனி லோன் அப்போ இண்டிவிஜுவலைஸா பண்றாங்கல்ல so when we talk about insurance, we have to calculate the consumer's lifetime worth. Accordingly, we have to decide. Okay, it's a beautiful example. Then we'll go for customer segmentation. Again, we are not talking about consumer, we are talking about customer. We'll talk about customer segmentation. So again, when we say consumer is unique, probably we have to say that customer has to be categorized or divided in a better form. Probably depending on the demographics, geographical area, depending on age, depending on the buying patterns, and how they can be formed, especially when we talk about financial industry, how you can assess in current and long-term worth of the customer, how you can eliminate the clients in such a way that you are going to give only little value or focus on them. Okay. So we talk about the data scientists here. What they do is they use the automated machine learning algorithms. Okay. So we take the help of automated machine learning algorithms. They categorize the clients on specified attributes. So on which basis? So their earning capacity is for 3 lakhs per month. Okay. We give special criteria or special criteria for them. Okay. So we compare them in groups and then we go accordingly so that we make them highly important, we give them priority and we give more time invested. Personalized services, next one, sixth one. Yes, when we talk about customer, we have to give a personalized experience, personalized service for them. So most of the organizations are striving to give personalized thing and all. Okay, probably when you go for financial sector, definitely when we talk about specific, again, we can talk about stock market also. They go for telephonic interactions where they completely understand the business and other things, or precisely meet their needs. Okay, how you can go for cross selling and how you can interact. For this, we are taking the help of natural language processing and voice recognition technologies. Okay, we take the help of where we speak with the systems and we understand them in directly like we are speaking to a person in face to face. Okay, and there is a lot of process happening in NLP. So nowadays, you watch the shots. You don't know whether it's made of AI or direct. Recently, I came across a parrot video. Okay, parrot வந்து சின்ன injection போட்டுட்டு இருப்பாங்க. They'll be saying that injection is very tiny. The parrot will say it's not very tiny, it's as length as my neck. Neck tiny தான் இருக்கும் parrot-க்கு. என் neck அளவுக்கு இருக்கு எப்படி நீங்க tiny சொல்றீங்கன்ட்டு. முதல்ல பார்க்கும்போது என்ன ரியலா தோணுச்சு. Then it was just an AI shots. Okay, see, it's done in a very beautiful way that we cannot identify this is real and this not real. Okay, so probably fix பண்ணிட முடியுது. Because seeing the movements of the human body and all, you can understand. So many things are happening here. So because of this rapid progress in national language processing, the potential is yet to be fully realized. You cannot say yes, this has happened. Okay, so it's about the sixth one. Can you just go through the three headings, please? We'll go for the seventh area. The earlier one was personalized services. Now here is advanced customer service. Okay. Probably you have to give a service and it should be a superior service. Okay. What's the difference between advanced customer service and personalized services? You go to a just leave on the financial side, you go for buying a dress. Each and every customer has to be given personalized service. Okay. If you now I'll come to the financial sector. You go for buying mutual funds. Okay, you go for investing in mutual funds. Then each and every client becomes a unique person, and you have to give the personalized service for them. This is related to personalized service. But when we say here advanced customer service, you have to give superior customer service to some persons who requires customized service. Okay, so this superior service may be done in a different way. Probably the nurse who looks after your uh, like old age people. Here also we take the help of natural language processing only. So they'll give financial practical, giving practical financial advice and how you are making the product to grow and all. Okay, and there'll be a customer support agent where they can cross sell and they will upsell while efficiently addressing the client's inquiry. Okay, so the knowledge from each encounter may be utilized to inform subsequent interactions, and also they'll go for enhancing the system's efficiency. Now we'll go for the eighth content, predictive analysis, which we have to predict what's the future, then only we can lead it. Especially again, if we deal with the same content with the stock markets, it's actually predicting not only the data, it will also predict how or what patterns may be involving. So ups and downs and other things involved. For this also, we are going to use machine learning only. So using this, we'll take the help of pre-processed data that will be taken into the system, and the system will process in such a way that what will be the future occurrences, and it will be done accurately because it is electronic processing, right? So information definitely, and if I have more number of information that I can improve my prediction model, I can have an algorithm for that. I can completely go for deep learning. That's what they call as shallow learning. So that the data must be cleansed properly, cleaned properly, and if needed, it can be manipulated. That's what you call as altering. Okay. So when we say deep learning, that is about shallow learning, it changes the data. Please highlight. That's the difference between deep learning. It will change the data without the need for human preparation. Is it okay? Without the need for human preparation. So we are going to analyze about certain things about certain things or something like that, which is necessary needed for particularly like above 18 years. Okay. So some products may be the, or anything like that above 18 years. And we have a child who is just crossed to 16. Probably, if you just directly go and scrutinize the data, categorize the data, it may look like the person who is just 16 might not be in need of this. Okay, but in another 2 years period of time, that kid is going to cross 18 plus, and definitely that students or something like that. Probably, and if you're talking about educational institutions. So that data is needed now. Okay. So it's not like I'm going to collect only 12 standard students data. It might be 10 standard students data. So after 2 years, that is going to give me more information. So it may look like as if those data are not important for me because they are just completed the 10. But after 2 years, that is definitely needed. So till 2 years of period, I'm not going to utilize it. So this happens like what you call as deep learning. Okay. So you establish the rules and you go for achieving superior performance where human preparation will not be needed here. Without it, machine learning itself will do everything. So they are taking the help of stock market pricing, how the machine learning algorithms are learning data from the past and working for the forecasting the future. So that's what we call as predictive analysis. So obviously this is helping the data scientists to predict the expected patterns. So they'll not only check what will happen, they'll also develop a pattern how it's going to evolve. Okay. Next, ninth one will go for fraud detection. Okay, this is ninth one, right? Okay, ninth one will go for fraud detection. So probably we have many transactions arising. So certainly we have this identity theft, credit card scams, and so many things we have. And how we are going to escape from them? Escape means uh, we should not get become as a victim in that. Okay, so recently you might have received, probably you or your one of your friends or any of your family members might have received a phone call saying that we have received a parcel and it has some goods which are not authorized in India. It's in your name. Come to the police station and collect it. அந்த மாதிரிலாம் வந்திருக்கும். ஓகே எங்களுக்கே தெரிஞ்சு எங்களோட டிஸ்டன்ட் ஃப்ரெண்ட் ரெண்டு பேருக்கு வந்து தே ரிசீவ் ஃபோன் கால் இன் திருச்சி. ஓகே ஒன் இன் திருச்சி ஒன் இன் சென்னை. ஓகே அவங்க வந்து திருச்சிக்கு வந்திருந்தப்போ ரிசீவ் பண்ணாங்க அந்த மாதிரி கால். ஓகே ஒன் இஸ் ஃப்ரம் யூஎஸ் ஆக்சுவலி. யூஎஸ்ல இருந்து இந்தியாவுக்கு வந்திருந்தாங்க. அந்த கேப்ல she received the phone call. Okay, எப்படி ட்ராக் பண்ணாங்கன்னு தெரியல. For this, what we do is we take the help of artificial intelligence and machine learning algorithms, how they are going to how they are going to uh, go for transacting all the data, how they are going to detect the fraud, especially like credit fraud. Probably when you go for credit card fraud, usually you make a small amount of transaction and suddenly there is a big amount of transaction happened. Immediately you may be receiving a call or you may be receiving any important message saying that if you are not using it, you block it. Okay, so that will be happening if it is looks like abnormal transaction at all. And if you are going for a merger, that's what I was telling. Okay, merchant purchase on a credit card. So how you're going to use it? Okay, so this not only protecting the client. Yes, you have to understand this. It's not only protecting the client, is actually protecting the bank and also the insurance carrier also. Okay, so probably they discover like any irregularities are there, then definitely they'll be notified to the financial institution. Two more are here. Let me finish it off. Anomaly detection. So when we say anomaly, probably for each and everything we'll have a set of range of values. If anything is falling outside this range, okay, we're just have a rules or conditions so that everything has to lie here only. If anything is lying outside this range, then we call that is not normal. So it's causing anomalies. Okay, that anomalies or what you call as the abnormalities has to be detected. Okay, so probably when we come to know this one is only when it happens. That's the difference between the earlier one and this one. Please make a note of it. Predictive analysis, we might be predicting in the future. That's what about predicting analysis. And this one, fraud detection is we might be having any idea like something, but anomaly detection is only it happened only we can go for finding out. It's a fraud or something like that. Okay, so we cannot anticipate from the singular incident. So it might be a fraud or something like that. So probably I'm buying a laptop today in my credit card and it is costing some 60 or 65,000. So far, I have never used my credit card for purchasing this amount. Okay, using this amount. But suddenly, I'm using this number for my credit card for my laptop purchase using my credit card. So this seems to be a genuine transaction, right? So this seems to be a genuine transaction. But this genuine transaction, if it is happening once or twice, is okay. But see, continuously I go for using the 60,000, 50,000, 30,000. So randomly, like different shifts of amount is there. If anybody does any particular amount 30,000 in one time, one point of time, definitely the institution or the banks will not be aware of that. It's a anomaly. Okay. அப்போ நீங்க வந்து என்ன ஆகும்னா என் பேர்ல வந்து யாரோ கிரெடிட் கார்டு பில் வரும்போது தான் பாத்துருப்பீங்க என் பேர்ல யாரோ வந்து யூஸ் பண்ணிருக்காங்க சொல்லிட்டு நீங்களே கம்ப்ளைண்ட் ரைஸ் பண்ணும்போது தான் தெரியும். Okay, so this is the thing anomaly absorption is. So you have to go through it, you have to come across it, and then you'll come to know what's happening. And obviously, these algorithms will obviously analyze the behavior of traders also, how the informations are being carried out with respect to stock markets. Okay, so this is directly dealing with stock markets. And the last one here is with respect to algorithmic trading. So when we go for algorithmic trading, algorithm is what you call a set of rules or something like that. Okay. So when we have an unsupervised computer, okay, what do you mean by unsupervised means you're not taking care of what the computer is doing. And then while they are utilizing the intelligence, we need to have an algorithm trading to look after how that will be carried out. Okay. So which means நம்ம எதுவுமே follow பண்ண வேண்டாம் அதுவே எல்லாமே பண்ணிடும். So the algorithmic trading is used to develop according to a set of stringent rules. So algorithm rules that decide whether it will be a trade on a specific market as a specific moment. Okay. This is what you call as, please highlight this heading was asked. The algorithmic trading, another name for this one is called as reinforcement learning. Okay. Why it is called as reinforcement learning is a beautiful concept. See, you grow a child. Okay. You grow a child. From the young age, if the child is doing something wrong, you buy a chocolate for the child. Okay. If the child is not doing it right, then you say that you will not get ice creams for him. Okay, for him or her. Okay, so which means you go for reward and punishment. Okay, so the same thing is followed here. The model will be taught or the model will be trained in such a way. If it is not correctly doing it, it will be having penalties. If it is rightly doing it, it will be having rewards. Okay. So each time a transaction proves to be a poor option means a model of enforcement will be given. Probably this is a poor option. That's why you have to be penalized. Okay. So one of the primary advantages whenever we go for this reinforcement learning, it's learning by transaction to transaction. So by this increased frequency of these, the algorithm trading will be very much helpful. So based on the facts, based on the behaviors taught, The computer will operate in a fraction of a second where it is not going to take help of the human decision. That's why we say this as unsupervised. See, I noted here, right? Here, unsupervised decision making, and the machine will only trade when it receives a profit opportunity. So that's what it is being done. So we have 9 areas in finance where data science and data processing is covered upon. So you can just have a look. This is 9.1. Is to functions of data processing. So what we actually do in data processing. So we validate the data. Okay, first one, we'll validate the data. What do you actually mean by data validation is? This is the definition given by UNECE glossary. So you know what you mean by glossary, right? On statistical data editing, UNECE, that is United Nations related concept, 2013, they have defined data validation as an activity you aim to verify. So validate means you are actually verifying whether the value of data item comes from the given. Probably that set may be finite or infinite set, okay, of acceptable values. So I have a set of values and I accept it or not. Okay. Simon, in the year 2013, he has defined data validation could be operationally defined as a process which ensures that the correspondence of the final published data with a number of qualitative characteristics. When we say data, it should follow the characteristics. See, we have already done with the characteristics, like consistency, accuracy, and all. Okay, so it should have a proper characteristics. Then we have to sort the data. So sorting the data means you actually organize the data in a meaningful order. Okay, so we receive all the data, but I want to make it as in alphabetical order or something like that. Okay, so you make it in alphabetical order so that it will be easier for you to comprehend and analyze and visualize it. Probably not only that, you organize in such a way that you make it gender based. Okay, men and women, boys and girls in that way. So probably you go for a shoe mart, buying shoes. So there'll be separate sections or separate floors meant for boys and meant for girls and men's and women's, right? So it's not nothing. It's a strategy how you're going to present the research data in a manner. So you're presenting, you're not researching. Please understand. When you do the researching, it will become information. You're not researching. You're making it ready for the research purpose, so that what is going to actually tell about. Okay. So sorting will be performed on raw data across all the records, or it can be done on aggregated information also in a table like chart or some other aggregator or summarized output. And when we talk about summarizing, we are going to make it statistically and sometimes automatically also will be reducing the data so that we require only the main bits. How the data is sorted is usually we go in ascending or descending order, right? Okay, based on actual numbers, counts, or percentages. But also it may be done on variable value labels also. So when we say value labels, we are actually doing is this is metadata. Probably how we are going to apply in some other alternatives and all. Okay, and the majority of the software programs they go for sorting by different factors. So each and every requirement will have different sorting factors and accordingly it will be sorted. So sorted means segregated, organized. So probably some will be including the region, some will be including the nation fields. For example, if you are asked to feed your phone number by any using any app or any .com or something like that. Okay, you are asked to go for a phone number. Immediately there'll be a drop down box asking for the country. Immediately you click this drop down box, you'll get all the countries. Then you go and click India and immediately +91 will appear directly. Okay, so depending on the region or nation and how we are going to sort by country and everything goes on. Is this about sorting? This is the second phase or something like that. Then is aggregation. Aggregation is the data is collected and summarized. When you go for data aggregation, actually there will be individual data rows that will be complicated, compiled by several sources. So there will be several sources. One source will be collected from uh, different schools or something collected from different institutions or something like that. So there will be so many sources, and you have to make it listed in one page or one list, one column. So it will be replaced with summaries of total. So groups. So we are actually making it groups, and we are making it a single column. There will be so many columns. We are making a single columns. So what we do here is we take the help of data warehouse. What do you mean by data warehouses? Warehouse தான் அது குடோன் மாதிரி எப்பயாவது தேவைப்படும் சொல்லிட்டு யூஸ் பண்ணிக்கலாம்னு போட்டு வைக்கிறோம்ல அந்த மாதிரி. So data warehouse will be often containing all these aggregate data, and where we can take the help in analytical enquiries. We can ask the question and we'll give all the data relating to that. Okay. Then we'll go for analysis. Actually, analysis is described as You clean the data, you convert the data, you model the data in such a way that it's going to be helpful in your business intelligence. So you extract the relevant information. That's what analysis is. So to do this analysis, all the earlier process, validation, sorting, and aggregation is necessary. So every time we make a decision in our business, definitely we have to go for what has occurred previously, what type of option we have, and everything has to be chosen. Okay, so I'm not going line by line. And if you do this with the help of commercial goals, you call this as data analysis. Okay. Then we'll go for reporting. So what do you mean by reporting is you're going to report. So it's an act, how it's been defined. Okay, it's an act of gathering and structuring raw data and turning it into consumable format. Yes. கொஞ்சம் ஏதோ ஒரு லாங்குவேஜ்ல இருந்தா நமக்கு புரியாது அதை நமக்கு ரீட் பண்ணும்போது புரியுற மாதிரி ஒரு ஃபார்மேட்ல மாத்துறது. So definitely when we give the data remote, it will provide some answers to fundamental inquiries. What's the status of the firm or something like that. They can display within an Excel document also, or we can take the help of some visualization tool also. And how you're going to collect it. Okay, so data report is just a documented fact and numbers made as a set. Okay, set of documents. Okay, probably a technical paper taking up population demographics, whatever. Then we'll go for classifying the data. Classifying the data is we'll go for some important categories and we'll categorize the data so that we can identify on the fundamental level. So when we talk about risk management, compliance, data security, all this needs classification. So depending on the classification, probably we need to classify based on the risk factors. We need to understand what are the risk factors associated with my business. So it can be taken that way. Okay. So when you go for classification, actually you have to label it. Please highlight so that it can retrieve it easily. If you're a folder போட்டு save பண்ணிக்கிறீங்க, you have so many photos of yours. என்ன பண்றீங்க? செல்ஃபின்னு சொல்லிட்டு ஒரு போட்டோல கிரியேட் பண்ணி அதெல்லாம் செல்ஃபி போட்டுக்கிறீங்க. ஃபேமிலி போட்டோன்னு கிரியேட் பண்ணி போட்டுக்கிறீங்க. பர்த்டே பார்ட்டி கிரியேட் பண்ணி போட்டுக்கிறீங்க. வெட்டிங்க்கு கிரியேட் பண்ணி போட்டுக்கிறீங்க. So you have like folders and folders, so you can easily grab that data. So the same wise, when you go for classifying, it will be actually labeled in such a way so that it is easily searchable and trackable, which means you can retrieve it easily. And additionally, you can make it to avoid duplications also. Okay. So இப்போ நீங்க போன்ல ஒரு போட்டோ கிளிக் பண்றீங்கன்னா ஆட்டோமேட்டிக்கா வந்து இந்த போட்டோ ஒரே மாதிரி இருக்கு டெலிட் பண்ணலாமான்னு கேக்குது இல்லையா? So அந்த மாதிரி இருக்குது. So backup expenses can be minimized and so on. Okay. Actually, when we go about data classification, so it's continued still here. We have three primary methods. Okay. One is based on content. You can examine and interpret the files, especially for sensitive data. One is context-based classification, depending on the characteristics of what purpose you're going to apply, location or creator, depending on that you can do it. Or and third one, so this is first one based on content. Second one, context-based, and third one, user-based classification, depending on the human selection. Okay, which person will be using this document and for what purpose? So depending on that, so probably you can accordingly do the creation, editing, reviewing, and distribution also. When we go for this classification, usually when we talk about risk associated with this, we can classify the risk in three ways. Okay, one is low risk, one is moderate risk, and one is high risk. When we say low risk, it is accessible to the public and the recovery is simple. If you lose it also, it's not going to be a big thing. So easier assess பண்ண முடியும். It is what you call as low risk. Moderate risk is it's not actually non-public or it's internal. You can say probably like you want to extract some financial data about a company, you go to the company's website, you can easily directly download this called as low risk. But moderate risk is you have to go for a company's website where you can feed your particular folio number or something like that. Then only you can, or நீங்க பார்த்திருப்பீங்கல்ல இந்த டீடைல்ஸ் வந்து நீங்க டவுன்லோட் பண்ணோம்னா பேன் வச்சு தான் அவங்க ஓபன் பண்ண முடியும். ஆதார் கார்டு வந்து லாக் ஆயிருக்கும். ஆதார் கார்டுக்கு பாஸ்வேர்ட் வச்சு தான் லாக் பண்ண முடியும். அந்த மாதிரி there will be some data which should not be made public or internal, but again it's not like so high risk related data. If you want to extract the data, yes, you can extract it. Okay, so upon the password எல்லாம் போட்டு extract பண்ற மாதிரி இருக்கும். So it's not, it's in between. You cannot say it's low risk and you cannot say high risk. It's like intermediate category. Okay, then high risk is very sensitive and very critical. That definitely it will create some chaos or something like that. And once it has been lost, means you cannot retrieve it. So it will be falling under high risk category. Here we'll take the help of data matrix classification, where we are going to take the data creation and labeling for the companies. So let me go over here. Okay, so directly I'll go over here. So we have discussed about the risk, right? What are the three risks we have? Low risk, where it is made public. This is medium risk, Okay, which means it's sensitive data. But again, if you have the password, then you can easily check. And this is high risk, which is more confidential. Okay, this is about a university. Yeah, I think it's given over here. It's nowhere mentioned, I think. This is a Michigan University, European Michigan University. So this is actually not a table. It's only actually a analysis purpose only they have given. So EMU, European Michigan University data, they have collected the data how it can be classified. Okay, for their university purpose they have collected. So general institution impact. It will have a negative impact if it is being disclosed. So proper disclose பண்ண மாட்டாங்க improper or incorrect information போச்சுன்னு வச்சுக்கோங்களேன், that will be creating a big chaos over the institution, over the university. So we cannot do that. So that's not having a big impact over the institution. And here, the negative impact actually you cannot say it's completely negative, but somewhat moderate. That's why it's say sensitive, and it's not a big thing at all. Okay, so you can make it public. Okay, description here it will be described as confidential institutional data. So probably whoever the particular individuals only they will have the accessibility. Probably they'll be giving unique permission. They'll be having security model representatives. They'll be having the responsibility complete confidential of Chipama. So this is about high confidential data. Whereas in the second case, we have sensitive institutional data where you will be having a functional security model representative. இங்க யாரு இருப்போம்? Functional security model representative. இங்கேயும் வந்து functional security model representative because the same person, but he may not be highly involved with the more sensitive data, but it's not more sensitive, not more confidential, but it's still sensitive. Okay, so they'll be defined based on the roles, and their job will be classified accordingly, and they'll be employed. So you'll be calling this as not public or internal data. Whereas you go for the low risk data, it is public institutional data. Here, persons எல்லாம் தேவையில்லையே, யார் வேணா இருக்கலாம். அதெல்லாம் கரெக்டா நீங்க ரெப்ளிகேஷன்ஸ் எல்லாம் இல்லாம காப்பிங் எல்லாம் இல்லாம பாத்துக்கிறதுக்காக வேணா ஒரு ஆளை போடுவாங்களே தவிர வேற ஏதாவது ரெப்ரஸன்டேட்டிவ்ஸ் எல்லாம் இருக்க மாட்டாங்க. And assess, yes, we know this. With approved assess only you can give it. You can go, but employees and non-employees of the companies can see, and here any public can have a data. Okay. Okay. So that's about this heading. So let me finish off this heading because it's all small content only. Data classification process. What are the steps involved? You understand what is the current setup, okay? Because you need to understand what's the current, and then only you will understand what's to be defined and what should be given in the later period, okay? So when you only currently understand what is the setup here, then only it will become the beginning point how we are going to classify the data in the future. So for this, we'll define a policy which is called as a data classification policy. So how far it has been adequate and why we have to change to the next process. So adequacy இல்லைன்னா எப்படி நம்ம compliance follow பண்ணலாம், how it is practically difficult to maintain, and accordingly for which one you have to give the priority and organize the data, you give the priority. So based on the sensitivity and privacy of the data, then you go for tagging it, whether it's high risk or low risk or something like that. Okay, so this is about 9.2. Yes, can you please go through? So you have like validating, sorting, aggregating, and then you have categorizing. There is a classification. Classification is one which is lengthier. Okay. Yes, you can please go through to 9.2. Yes, please. 9.3. We'll go for data organization and distribution. So data organization. Please highlight this actually is not related to structured data. Actually, this is related to classification of unstructured data into distinct groups. Okay. So once a data is organized from unstructured to distinct groups, it becomes structured data. Am I right? So when we talk about this raw data, it will be having different observations, and probably we have to check which one has to be grouped in which way. So probably you give some rules and regulations and do it accordingly. Okay. So when time goes and data volume increases, you'll be having so much of information. So it's not previously structured means then at one point of time we may be in a need to structure them. So it's a process of arranging unstructured data in a meaningful manner. Okay, that's it. So probably we classify or put it in tables, or we take the help as image representation, graphical representations, and so on. Okay. So you arrange the data in some simple manner so that it's easy to understand, and you can manipulate also. So in future, you can manipulate in such a way that you can easily use it. Okay. So probably they are taking the help of IT workers. So I'm not going this word by word. Let me go over here. Structured data means it will be having the tabular information and is readily imported because already it's been structured. But when we talk about unstructured data, so actually they are comparing here what we mean by structured and unstructured data. So when we say unstructured data, it's actually raw and not formatted data. Okay, so probably basic text document, it can be some having names, dates, and other things. Okay, so if I'm asked to upload my birth certificate, so it's just unstructured data. But from the birth certificate, if the date of birth is collected, my name is collected, my parents' name is collected, where I was born, which city I'm born, if all these data are collected, it becomes structured data because it's been now formatted, it's been segregated properly. Okay, so probably in worldwide, so this is again example only, I'm not going line by line. So you had to examine like organized and unstructured data, which one is necessary for our business. So already we have done the structured data, we'll be having that in a proper tabular form, just the repetition part, law and of unformatted data, just the repetition only. So how we are going to do this is, okay, till here is just the repetition. So how we are going to do here is we are going to take the help of technological tools and resources, how this can be substantially structured. Okay, so which means from unstructured to structured, how can you change it? So it has to be properly incorporated into this data ecosystem, and it will be processing in such a way that the data will be structured and delivered to you. Okay, so I'm not going line by line. You can just have a look at it later. Then we'll go for data distribution. How the data is distributed. Usually, when we talk about data distribution, we talk about taking the help of the probability values. Okay, so probably when we use probability, we are talking about in a statistical way of defining or distributing the data. So when we talk about statistical representations, we have histograms, pursuing histogram, frequency, polygon, frequency curve, box plots, pie charts, இதெல்லாமே use பண்ணிருப்போம். So all those may be helpful. Okay. So when you go for finding the values, we might be using this mean, median, mode, range, standard deviation, variance, இதெல்லாம் use பண்ணிருப்போம். So as measures. So with the help of this, we might be defining the types of distribution. So we have discrete distribution and continuous distribution. Under discrete, we have binomial and Poisson. Okay, so probably when you say discrete means it's particular to one value. So we can select a specific amount of heads. So number of accidents happened, number of persons traveling in the train, or number of persons traveling in the this one and all. Okay, right? Tossing a coin and all is binomial. Poisson, when we talk about Poisson, actually it will be like similar to binomial. Binomial is like head or tail case. Okay, if success arrives, failure will not arrive. Failure arrives, success will not arrive. Will not arrive. Even the binomial. Poisson is actually binomial and Poisson look similar. The only difference is when we talk about mistakes and accidents, we cannot just talk in such a way. We'll probably we say number of train accidents happened in a year. See, it happened in a year. It will be taken like it will be limited like okay, happened in a year. Number of coins tossing, number of coins tossed within 10 tossing of coins, how many heads you got. So இந்த மாதிரி கொஞ்சம் இது பண்ணிருப்பாங்க. So it will take huge values, but the time limit will be done. Okay. Next is hypergeometric. Hypergeometric is a kind of district distribution where we talk about the number of success and trials without replacement and sometimes with replacement, and we do some sampling also. With the help of that sampling, we talk about whether the success is same, chance of success is same for all trials or not. Okay, so this will be done. Next is geometric distribution. This is also a way of discrete distribution. Probably it will be assessing the occurrence of the first success. Probably you know the snake and ladder one start பண்ணிருப்பீங்க game. When you play the snake and ladder game, whoever gets the whenever you get the first die showing the face one, okay, தாயம் விழுந்தா start பண்ணணும் game விளையாடிருப்பீங்களா, so that way. So probability of occurrence of the first success also will be considered. So probably there will be an expansion like it is going to happen in a negative binomial distribution. Okay, so this is a discrete. Now we go for continuous angle. So continuous means there we'll talk about probability mass function. Here we'll talk something what is probability density function. Okay, so depending on the shape we'll discuss. Okay, here is normal distribution. Normal distribution usually most of the stock market analysis normal distribution with so normal distribution is a normal bell-shaped curve where it will divide a center line will be dividing, and the center line will be mean, median and mode, everything will be at the same point. This is the beauty of normal distribution. So it will be focusing around the core point. That core point is what you call as this point. Okay. You can focus பண்ணியிருக்கோம். Log normal is where instead of taking the direct values, we'll be taking the logarithmic values That's the natural logarithmic values and we'll be applying it. F distribution probably will be talking about the variances. Okay, ரெண்டு set of distribution இருக்கு அதோட variance compare பண்ணி பேசும்போது we'll call it as F distribution will have no maximum value and will have minimum value of 0 ங்கிற மாதிரி பேசிட்டு இருக்கோம். Chi-square distribution where we take help of normal distribution. So Z1 actually you should not write this way. Y is equal to Z1 square plus Z2 square. You can if you want if you want it like you have to correct it. Z3 square goes on up to Zn square இந்த மாதிரி இருக்கும். So Z1 is a variable following normal distribution. Z2 is a variable following normal distribution. So Zi is எல்லாமே normal distribution follow பண்ணும். அதை ஸ்கொயர் பண்ணி ஆட் பண்ணீங்கன்னா எனக்கு புது வேரியபிள் வரும் அது வந்து chi square distribution ஃபாலோ பண்ணும். So this is ultimately a normal distribution. Definitely this will be a symmetrical in nature and constrained below 0. Okay. Exponential e power ல இருக்கும். So exponential is somewhat you can say exponential and Poisson are more or less somewhat closely connected. Okay. Then T distribution. So T distribution of what you call as sometimes you call this as in specific cases student T distribution. So sometimes it's like a miniature of normal distribution. Normal distribution என்னென்ன follow பண்றீங்களோ அது எல்லாமே வந்து will be following for T distribution is what you call as the student's T distribution. So sometimes when the standard deviation cannot be determined means then instead of normal distribution we'll be using T distribution. Okay, so then shift and photo. So that's about data cleaning. It's a process of correcting or deleting inaccurate. Please highlight all these words are important. Either you're correcting or deleting inaccurate, corrupted, improperly formatted, duplicated, or data which are not completely collected, like insufficient data from a data set. Okay. When you combine all the data, because you're receiving from, when you're receiving from different sources, when you combine all the data, there may be a chance that there'll be a data duplication also, and sometimes we'll be mislabeling it. Okay, sometimes we'll be mislabeling it. So this happens and you have to correct it. So when you have incorrect data, it will have algorithms and outcomes untrustworthy because the algorithm may be right, but the data is not right. Okay. So definitely that's going to cause a chaos of accuracy also. So one definite method what you can do here is you can actually there's no it's like one definite method. For method to method, you have different cleaning process or procedures also. So it's different from data transformation. Yes, usually we have a problem whether I'm doing this data cleaning or data transformation. So we please highlight there's no data transformation. Data transformation is from one format to another format. If I change it, that's what you call as data formation. Okay, but even a data clean பண்ணிட்டு இருக்காங்க, right? One of the steps involved in data cleaning is actually first step is you remove the unnecessary duplicate and irrelevant information. முதல்ல அதை பண்ணணும் ஏன்னா எல்லாமே பண்ணிட்டு அப்புறம் டூப்ளிகேஷன் இருந்துச்சுன்னா அதை வேற ரிமூவ் பண்ணிட்டு இருப்பீங்க அதில் வேற எக்கச்சக்கமா டைம் ஸ்பெண்ட் பண்ணிட்டு இருப்பீங்க. ஸோ இஃப் தெர் இஸ் எனிதிங் duplicate or information that are all relevant, definitely you have to remove that. Okay, so sometimes it might be unnecessary observations might have been corrected, duplicate observations will be occurring, definitely you cannot allow it. And sometimes what we do is we sometimes merge the data. Sometimes we take it from numerous sites and we take some scrap data that's not necessary and all. And do duplication, deduplication, which is you are removing the duplication. That's what it was. Deduplication has to be done. Okay. So this is relating to the clients or whatever maybe. Then you fix the structural errors. Yeah, structural errors is beautiful. Sometimes we'll be having n/a இருக்கும், not applicable. Okay, they're both the same only. Okay, they should be examined as a single category. So probably we'll be detecting some standards or typos or wrong capitalization. Then filter unwanted outliers. So sometimes you might be having that which is not actually needed, but அதெல்லாமே வந்து feed பண்ணி வச்சிருப்போம். So unwanted outliers. So we have some observations. At first look, it may be like okay, the data இருக்கிற மாதிரி இருக்கும், அதுக்கப்புறம் தேவையில்லாத மாதிரி இருக்கும். So you have to find a reason why it's an outlier and you have to remove it. Okay, so the existence of an outlier does not imply that it is erroneous. Okay, please highlight this one. It's not actually not an error, but it may cause an error or it may take a lot of time to process. That's why. And how are you going to handle the missing data? Sometimes when you don't have the complete data, or you can just erase the data, but sometimes incomplete data வந்து நிறைய information வந்து நீங்க gather பண்ண முடியும். So as a first alternative, the observations with missing data most of the time it will be dropped. But as a second alternative, it may be entered based on other observations. Probably I'm collecting all the data related to a 10th standard or 12th standard graduate, and one student has not written the age. ஓகே. அப்ப ஏஜ்லன்னா என்ன இருக்க போகுது? 15, 16 தானே இருக்க போகுதுன்னு சொல்லிட்டு மிச்ச ஸ்டூடண்ட்ஸோட ஏஜ வச்சு நம்ம போட்டுக்கலாம். Okay, so it looks like depending on the other observations, I may find the missing number and I can fill it. If it is easier means, okay. Then validation and question and answer. Okay, probably when you go for validation, already we have discussed with respect to validation. Here, validation is with respect to particular question and answer. Whether this data is making sense, whether it's adhering, it's complying to the regulations which I have for that field, whether it can be verifiable and it's not contradicting my hypothesis. If it's by contradicting my hypothesis, sometimes there may be a student who is 21 years and studying 10th and writing 10th standard exam. 21 years. அப்போ வந்து the outlier சொல்லி நம்ம எடுத்து போட்டிருப்போம். இல்லைன்னா அது இருக்குது நல்லதுதான் சொல்லி போட்டிருக்கலாம். whatever it is, okay. Can data patterns assist you in formulating next theory? Yes, it's a beautiful line, right? Beautiful question you have to ask them. Because the data which you are trying to organize, clean, and everything is because you have to use it as the information, and that's going to give you more knowledge about the data. But if this data is not going to provide any information, means then it has to be properly left out. That's what its validation is. If not, it is an issue with the data quality. So your data is not clear. So when you make false assumptions on inaccurate data, then you call this as dirty data. You can please make a note of it. So how you define dirty data is false assumptions you make that this data may be a right one depending on the inaccuracy. Okay. So before reaching up the point, you have to establish a culture how the data quality has of the firm has to be maintained. So when we talk about data quality, yes, if the data is a quality data, then definitely the information which you're going to grab from there is definitely going to be useful information. Okay, so when you call a data as a quality data, yes, it should be properly validated, it should be accurate, completeness should be there, and consistency should be there. Okay. And benefits of data cleaning is when you have some errors that can be resolved or that can be removed, fewer mistakes will happen so that the customers will be happier and also the workers will feel less irritated. And how you're going to act with the functions and other data. So, map with the functions, how you are going to correlate with other data, how you're going to monitor the mistakes and all, and what type of data technologies you can use it in the future so that you can grab it. Then already we have done with data validation, so I'm not going line by line. It's just the same. I request you to go for a glance because data validation of a full topic in the path. Okay. Types of data validation we are not done here, so I'll go and check over here. Type of data validation, data type check. Probably what type of data we have actually entered. Okay, so that's a probably sometimes you write special letters and special symbols. If I want to write my name with the initials, sometimes somebody will be placing like this dot தெரியுமா? இந்த டாட் போடுவாங்க, ஹைஃபன் போடுவாங்க. இதெல்லாமே வந்து அவாய்ட் பண்ணலாங்கிறதுக்காக ஸ்பெஷல் லெட்டர்ஸ் ஆர் symbols can be avoided. Code check. What is code check? Means there'll be a set of legitimate options where you have to particularly pick one. For example, as NIC industry codes, or we have this plus 91 for India code. Okay, phone numbers. And range check. So probably there is a latitude falling between minus 90 and 90 degrees, and longitude falling between minus 80 and 180 degrees. இப்பெல்லாம் latitude longitude வச்சு தான் அந்த கம்பெனி ஃபார்மேஷன்லாம் போகுது. அப்போ இந்த ரேஞ்ச் விட்டு வெளியே போச்சுன்னா இட் வேலிட் அந்த மாதிரி ரேஞ்ச் வச்சு செக் பண்ணுவாங்க. ஃபார்மேட் செக் இஸ் ஆப்வியஸ்லி வி நோ which has to be presented first. Date month or month data. Okay. Consistency check whether I can get everything in a logical manner. Okay. Because I have to consistently get it. Okay. Probably package delivery date. If you buy anything, any goods in on my e-commerce platform, they say that it will be receivable in 2 delivery dates, 2 days, 2 working days. Then 2 days means from the order is placed, 2 days will be calculating. So it has to be consistently checked. And uniqueness, sometimes when we talk about Aadhaar number, PAN, and email is unique to that person, and that has to be properly evaluated and checked. Okay, and because sometimes you get the OTP and all, right? The email and email IDs and phone numbers, right? And depending on that, you have to collect the data and they have to be done properly so that validated properly so that it will be helpful for future needs. Okay, so you can just have a look in here. Case study, you can have a look on yourself. I'm not going to go over the actually, it's a case study is nothing but the full summary. What are all the things we have done? It's a full summary, so I'm not going to go over line by line. So that's about this topic. Thank you, Pam. Thanks for joining them.